there's no right or wrong way of doing this. That's how I done it, probably went a bit too low, but I was getting a lot of referrals, getting a lot of clients coming. Then IR35 hits, 30% of my book overnight gone. Street fighting then is a marketing, actually going out on the street and handing my leaflets into shops. That's what I was doing at that time. For 6 months, I had no clients. And then I was just offering jobs to anyone. Yeah, let's get them in. Can you do accounts? Yeah, can you do VAT returns? Just sit there, I've got some bodies in, let's do something. The biggest learning curve is not giving up and believing in myself. It's such a cliche and easy to say. I've read, many business development books and personal development books, and a lot of them come down to the same thing, believing in yourself and not giving up. And that's what I did, I'm living proof of that.
Kully, welcome. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Very welcome. So we're here in Dubai. You're in Dubai. I'm just coming from Dubai, from Doha. And I would love to talk to you about your story of how you got into starting your accounting firm through the franchise and getting to 7 figures plus with a team of around about 20 that you have today. So let's start back in time then. What were you doing before you got into running accounting firms?
My background's actually in banking, was working in treasury. I actually never worked in practice before I decided to go with tax assistant, purchase practice. I was SEMA qualified and I thought, it's can't be that different. I know my way around profit and loss and balance sheet. Never put a set of accounts together. Never done tax return. I was working. I had a decent job working in treasury, and there's not many opportunities in Birmingham within that field. And I was relocating the treasury function to London at that time. And my daughter had just been born, and my son was only 2. My daughter had just been born. And I didn't want to, it was not the right time for me to go to London. Just purchased a house there as well, mortgage at that time. The reason I realised was that, I was doing 12 hours a day for the bank, and straight away they could uproot my life and not, change everything. I thought that I want that security for my own self. And looking at many franchises where, tailed it down to finance after, but I was looking at, gyms, looking at everything. What can I do to get out of here? I thought franchise would be a good opportunity for me because I don't have my own business and I've got that support, and just do something for 5 years, and then after that we can leverage it, exit and do what we're doing. And then I found a tax assistant, a couple of other accounts practices. We're on the discovery day. It seemed like a right fit, and it's never going to be the right time, and decided to pull the trigger on that at that time, and left the working environment 10 years to last week, and signed with tax assist.
Amazing. So you started this journey back in 2015, did you?
Yeah, October 2015.
Fantastic. Cool. What gave you that kind of, I guess it's quite courageous a move to take? You said you looked at different franchises. Did you feel that the offer, how it was tabled, presume you had to put some money in? What kind of gave you that comfort that, okay, it is a risk, but I'm mitigating risk through these factors, because you didn't have any experience, as it were, doing the accounts and tax returns and things like that, similar to myself? Did you buy a franchise that was already running to begin with?
No, I started from scratch. The reason I decided on tax assist or that industry was, I was like, look, I need to be sensible with this. I'm good at finance. I've got a good background knowledge of it. I studied accounts finance at A-level at university, done a master's in banking and finance, and so I can figure it out. I thought at that time, rather than doing something completely different, something in food and beverage or in the fitness sector, nice pipe dream, but I thought, let's be sensible with this. So once I narrowed that down, I had a look at a few companies that offer this franchise. And when I went to visit tax assist, it just seemed more secure, as in they had a lot of staff there. It seemed more established. They'd already been going for, at that time, 15, 20 years. The other franchises I was looking at had been going for 2 to 5 years. They had quite a lot of franchises. I spoke to a lot of franchisees who were already trading at the time and learning about their experiences. And the main thing for me was that I spoke to franchisees that were not just, practice accountants who'd actually had a similar background and worked in banking or worked in finance. They were doing okay on their journey, very transparent, very open. And after going on Discovery Day, I decided to, proceed.
So what was that like then? You get the franchise and now you've started zero. How do you go about getting clients?
Yeah, it was pretty scary, to be honest. In those early days, as I say, allude to, the missus not working, mortgage to pay, 2 kids at home. It's never the right time. And I decided to, Taxis model is built on having a retail office shop front. And at that time, I didn't have that capital. I paid the franchise fee, which is, halved now, is double at that time when I actually signed up. So I was like, I'm going to wait for the shop front until I get clients to rolling in. So I was in a serviced office in Edgbaston, Hagley Road, one of the main roads going into Birmingham City Centre. And I used to sit there for 12 hours a day, learning everything I can do just to stay busy. I had no clients. Taxis sent me some leads, and because I was inviting these clients into a little room, having a meeting with them, like a banner up. It didn't look good. No one's going to sign up with me really at that time, no matter how good I am. It's that perception, isn't it? And and I was only a kid then. I was reading all the HMRC guidance. It's like a rabbit hole. Trying to be the best accountant I could be. Reading everything I could, writing it down, having the clients learn it. I was going out networking, walking everywhere. There's a thing called street fighting then. It was a marketing, actually going out on the street and handing my leaflets into shops. That's what I was doing at that time. For 6 months I had no clients. I was hammering 3-4k cash, franchise fees, rent, marketing, networking. It was a scary time when I look back at it now. I was like, is this the right decision? Learning. At that time, we used CCH. I was trying to become a CCH expert. I learned everything I can on that software. I thought, if not, I can go into software consultancy if this doesn't work. I was going home. The missus was there, and she supported me at that time. And she was like, look, you've always wanted to do this. You can't just give up after 6 months. Every 6 months, a franchise development manager comes out to new franchisees to see if they're okay. I requested this every couple of months with a franchise business manager, probably listening now, ready for retirement, Steve Mack. And he came out to me every few months and he said, look, you're worrying too much. He goes, everything's going to be okay. And I was like, what are you on about? It's my money, it's my life. And he was like, no, listen to me. I can see that you're going to be all right. I still speak to him now. He actually messaged me on LinkedIn the other day, and I'll reach out to him. I still thank him for the talks I had with him. He was like a father figure in the business world at that time to me. He said, get out of this little office. I was like, what do you mean? That's another like 50k or 70k or whatever it was, to get a shop, refurbish it, hardware. I've already had this outlay, now you're telling me to spend more. Is this guy just trying to do the franchise talk on me and upsell me? And how I got the shop that I'm in now, which is on a great location, Hagley Road, everyone can see it, the visibility is that as I actually walked into the shops, handed a letter in, this shop was actually derelict, closed, put it in the letterbox, and the owner contacted me and he was like, look, come and meet me. I met him and he probably thought, again, this guy, he's young, what's he going to do? I'm giving him my office to let. So I called Steve down with me and I said, look, will you speak to the guy with me? And Steve told him, look, this guy's going to be really good. Give him your shop. He'll refurb it and look after it. I'm still in that shop now.
So you must have signed a long lease?
Yeah, well, I signed a 5-year lease initially, and then on the renewal, I put in that I want first refusal on purchasing it. And about 6 months ago, so my landlord actually passed away. He's very well known in the area, is quite well off. And he passed away and his daughters took over his business interest. He's got many care homes in the Birmingham area. And so they approached me about 6 months ago and they said they're looking to sell the property. Would I be interested? And so I said yes, and we're having discussions now, and they've come back to me because another sister's taken over, and hopefully if things go well, potentially I could de-risk myself from everything and purchase that
nice
property.
Sounds good. So you got the shop. Did clients start to come in?
They did.
Nice.
They started to come in. Taxis, marketing at that time was working for me. The new signage. I don't know if it's just a new thing in the area. People thought, oh, what's this? Marketing started coming in. Clients started coming in. I recruited my first. I couldn't afford to recruit an accountant or a full-time accountant at that time. So I thought, look, what do I need? I need help with administration. So I recruited a admin. He's actually one of my wife's cousins who worked in accounts and finance for industry, but he was going through a personal issue and he wanted something, just to keep on ticking him over at that time. Recruited him to do the admin side of things, and it worked really well. So, he was in the office doing admin. I was doing the the client meetings, the sign up, processes and procedures. Then for him to monitor, I didn't have no systems then, and I was going out networking, getting the clients to come in, meeting them, signing them up. He was doing all the 64-8s, the compliance, anti-money laundering, adding them on the Excel spreadsheets, 64-8, and just from then it just snowballed.
And you were doing the work as well because you didn't have an
So
accountant.
initially I was.
All the tax returns, the accounts, the bookkeeping.
I was doing payroll on Sundays. So I used to come in on Sundays, to do payroll on money stuff. And I still remember that. Yeah, I hate payroll now. That's why I hate it. I did that for about 6 months. My first January, passed, I wasn't that busy. Then 6 months after that, I was doing this. I started using a outsourcer ad hoc, not like a full-time equivalent, just sending them accounts that were taking me time, which were more complex to do, sending them, as long as I was making, a margin, making a third on that, I was happy for them to do. I was doing the reviews. The clients were happy. I was turning around things quite quickly at that time. They were referring me to friends, family. It grew at the same time. I probably, in hindsight, made a mistake then as well because I was quoting cheap. It's I was wanted the cash flow to come in. I wanted to be busy, and I still got some legacy clients I'm probably losing money on. Which, after reading your book, I'm going to start pricing these up. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. That's how I done it. Probably went a bit too low, but I was getting a lot of referrals, getting a lot of clients coming. One thing that I still remember is that, which helped me at that time, was before IR35 came in. So, you know the Birmingham area quite well. I'm in the middle of a couple of big hospitals. Selly Oak is not too far from me, and Queen Elizabeth, and then there's like City Hospital, Dudley Road. So I started signing some nurses on and doing locum work. They start referring me to their friends. I was like, oh, this is great. This is easy work here. Limited company accounts. I could knock these out myself. So again, the income from then IR35 hits. 30% of my book overnight gone, and I was like, oh no, what should I do now? I speak to you openly. I know your thing is niching, and I get it works for a lot of people. I've spoken to a lot of their accountants who are very successful in this, but that's what scares me. Maybe it's probably about PTSD after what happened previously with IR35 to me. I don't know. I think that's what does worry me. I know there's no both sides to this coin, but that's where I'm currently at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about numbers then, how quickly, because you're 7 figures now, but how quickly did that happen? So it sounds like first 6 months, nothing. And then the next 6 months, did you scale pretty fast to your first 6 figures and then there onwards?
I would say so. After about 3 years, I was about 250.
250. So you built from 0 to 250 in 3 years.
That went it's like a bit of a blur, to be honest with you. Very rapid growth. At the same time, building a team. And then I was just offering jobs to anyone, just with a cheap, let's get them in. Can you do accounts? Yeah, can you do VAT returns? Just sit there, I've got some bodies in, let's do something. And I think one was a university graduate, one had worked at, subcontracting at another firm, had the administrator who was working with me. And then, slowly, I built a team of probably 5. Then someone to do the payroll, lean on outsourcers more. That's how I've probably grown my practice, which is, I wouldn't be able to because I couldn't afford the UK full-time accountant still at the time. I was using administrators, people with a couple of years experience, not qualified, and then leaning on that. But I was becoming the bottleneck then because I had to review everything still. They were not qualified enough to review anything, so that became another problem. I became like a middleman. So the outsourcer was sending me questions and I was sending them to the client was sending them back to me. I was sending them to the outsourcer, and half the time I couldn't even understand what the outsourcer was asking me, so I had to do all the accounts again, go everything again, and just to ask the client the question. And that's what was time consuming and frustrating for me. But after about 3 years, I was about 250.
And then how did it scale from there onwards?
A more stable team, not the best team, probably just a more stable team who were loyal, honest, putting a good shift in. And that again enabled me to get out of the office. And at best, I wouldn't say that I got loads of business from networking, but even to this day, a lot of people know me in the area from networking. I got a few clients from there. I got my name out, and I didn't like it. I used to hate that old school networking of, here's my business card, I'm Kully the accountant. Found like a bit of like an Alcohol Anonymous meeting. It did help, but it's very difficult to quantify actually how many clients I got from it, because people probably approached me after that, which were maybe through networking or speaking to someone, but I just don't know that. And it's difficult to quantify, but I definitely got my presence out there. A lot of people in the local area did get to know me, which is, I suppose always a good thing.
So 2015 you started, 2018 you're around 250. When did you do your next purchase? And there's COVID in between, right? So did COVID impact your business because you're more high street? So yeah.
In COVID, I was really busy.
Okay.
That's when I first started doing videos, and I started doing them. I started doing them in COVID. All I was doing was copying the same information that Boris was saying at 5 o'clock, and saying it in my own way, and talking about furlough, talking about coronavirus loans, about everything else that's going on. Nothing, half of it wasn't even to do with accounts. I was just saying what he was saying, and so. When I was saying this stuff to people, I was using Facebook then, and people were commenting me, like direct messages saying, "Oh, thanks for this. I didn't know this. Oh, this is really good, really useful." And I started doing more stuff about clapping for the NHS and supporting the NHS. I think I've done something like free tax returns for anyone who's working at the NHS or something like this. Yeah, and in the local area, it got well recognised, and we were still working because I had hosted desktops then, so anyone could work from anywhere. The only thing we had to do was phones home, the headsets home, plug them into your, landline at home. That's the only thing we had to do. But we was working as normal, and I was rotating staff, sending one person at a time into the office just to collect the post, because we had a post box outside, so clients could still send in paperwork. They could still drop off, records. It was like a big, metal box, where they can post records to. The staff was going there, still scanning everything. We're still having weekly team meetings, start using Zoom then, and it went well. Was busy with furlough. Obviously, people didn't want to pay at that time, and some accountants were charging extortionate prices. Some were doing it for free. We was in the middle of the road. We still need to making some money on there, but we was reasonable, and I got a lot of loyalty from clients. A lot of them still stuck around with me even to this day and age. Helping them through there was probably a scary time for me, but maybe I'm in a fortunate position, or we as accountants were, that within that industry that was still required, people still needed us, and luckily enough I still had a strong base as staff then, and I had good systems that enabled us to work from home and carry on as normal as such. And to be honest, I liked having to not go into the office every day and meet people face to face all the time. And after that I didn't go networking again. After COVID, I don't think I've done like that form of networking again, of going out to these events at 6 o'clock in the morning, having breakfast with people and all this kind of thing. It made me realise I don't need to, for one thing, and to focus on other forms of marketing.
How does that growth journey continue then? So what kind of revenue levels are you doing at COVID time before you get to the next acquisition?
After COVID, at 2020, at that time, I was around 550 gross referring fees are coming out of COVID. The first acquisition I done was about 22. That was a Texas franchisee who was retiring. He was in the next territory to me, and it wasn't a massive fee bank. It was like 150,000 gross referring fees. I thought, try and cut my teeth. Let's see what the process of this is. Learn about doing the due diligence, working with the solicitors. I don't know, like how to, is it a good practice or not? I don't know how to do a deal structure either. So I thought, it's a small practice. It's Texas. He's down the road from me. 20 minutes away from where I live. Let's give it a go. And at that time, it was him, his wife. They had one accountant, and James, who was their accountant as well. And so him and his wife were obviously going to leave the business. The accountant didn't want to stay on, and James I've kept on, and it's gone well. It's very well. It's a small business that ticks over. It doesn't need me. It does what it does, and washes its face. Hardly any costs in there. I already had a system and processes, already sunk costs from my current business, and we're paying for potentially one member of staff that we've kept on. Automated the whole business using I use Bright Manager for my CRM system. Implemented that. He was logging onto the client 64.8s to do things, and so when I sent Bright Manager, if you will, or any other software, it can send you the 64.8 request for clients. So clients were receiving this letter, and they were coming into the office. The main thing I was getting concerned, not that I'm a new accountant or that I've taken on the business, was what's a 64.8? Are you going to have access to my bank account? And I've never been asked for this before. So I was for the first 6 months, I was just explaining to them what it actually is. I've never been asked for this before, but I said it's to help you, so we can ring HMRC on your behalf. So you can call HMRC for me. And I was like, yes, that's correct. If people are not aware, we take it for granted. Yeah, it makes a big difference. I actually didn't lose that many clients, even though, look, I am different to the guy that purchased the practice stuff, who was 17, older guy, people by people. So it was an older clientele. And I thought that I would lose clients naturally from that. But I didn't hardly lose any clients when they actually came. Obviously, I had some shitty emails from people when I took over. When they actually came into the office and they met me and I actually went through their accounts and actually, you can do this in the pension, or your payroll's not been run, or you can put your missus on, or this is basic things, having discussions like, oh, we've never been spoken about this. Oh, let me put you on software instead. Okay, software. No, I didn't know about this either. And having those kind of different conversations is actually opened my eyes to a lot, because I thought I wasn't. I don't think I'm still doing that good, but I didn't think that my practice was nowhere near efficient where it should be. But then when I went to someone who had been more established than me in the network and see how he was running things, I was like, actually, I'm doing okay. I'm not that bad. I just need to clean up a few things. That was the first acquisition, and we've still got that. Still got the clients. The staff rotate themselves between the offices because they can go there. They can answer phone calls from any office. It's like people don't know where they are. It's a base, so it's good.
And did you find you had to, in that acquisition, were you seeing each and every client? Because presumably the guy before you would have had all those client relationships. Did you have to make sure that you saw all the clients and embedded them in before passing them to team, or were you able to kind of tick along?
As and when whoever wanted to see me, obviously I sent the email to everyone introducing myself, but it was. I didn't say to them, book a meeting with me, how to book a meeting with me. Whoever wanted to book a meeting with me, I allowed that. I think it more naturally happened at the year end of account. So it wasn't like, a bottleneck all in one go. It was throughout the first year that when I was sending accounts, I just wanted to touch base with me. No issues with the accounts or anything, just see who I am. I'm real, that they can come into the office. I actually moved his office. So this was, again, don't recommend this. So purchasing a practice, bedding in a practice and system and processes, and then moving the location and refurbing a new practice. The office that I bought was actually a hairdresser's, so it was a complete mess. Yeah, it was a better location. It was on a high street location, and you had sinks, water tank in the middle, and so trying to still run the business while trying to do a refurb was pretty hectic. But we got there in the end. But yeah, I don't recommend that. So don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a common question that I get. Should I buy a practice or should I start from scratch? But clearly, you've made it work for you. I guess did it help to have a practice where there were already people in the business, so there was some continuity with clients talking to the staff in the office, and therefore you didn't have to see each and every single one of the clients.
The husband and wife's accountant, and James is a brilliant staff member, but he's autistic. So he's very good, way better than me technically, in number crunching and bookkeeping. But James doesn't see the clients face to face and speak to them. So he needed that assistance for someone to be there. But he's now just opened up. We can leave him meeting clients. I put him on sales courses, bringing him up to a place. But I need to see the client then until he had that confidence, because he was never in that position to see clients. Whereas before he didn't want to, but now he opened up to enabling him to put some training in place to enable him to do that. So I was seeing, I'll say, a lot of the clients, while rotating the staff from the other office as well, to, he had the client knowledge, but then as a backup, if someone was there, he's more opened up, and now he can run that practice for himself. I'm so proud how far he's come at his development, from just becoming a bookkeeper and a number cruncher to, and that's not just me, that's a team that I've got around me that, they support him with and now he's the most important person in that practice.
Amazing. Fantastic. So you do the acquisition and then you get a bug to do another one, right? So you're up to 550, 150, bit of organic growth. You're kind of touching the £1 million.
That was about 750, yes, at that time then. And I really enjoyed that acquisition process of, going through the due diligence, negotiating terms with them, embedding the practice, and everything that goes along with that, the marketing challenges, the system challenges, I found is more of what I'd done previously, rather than just doing accounting, intercompany balance sheet, processing tax returns. So I really enjoyed that side of it, and I started looking quite aggressively really at the practices. I just wanted to buy something, and sending out leaflets, going out to local practices, and like anything that came to me. And then the stuff that wasn't right, and I still wanted to buy it, and thankfully it never happened. But then I bought a practice called Barker Stevens probably about the end of 2003, so quite quickly. So after I purchased the other one, well, probably about 15 months, I would say, the deal went completed, and he was trading under his own brand for 30 years, 5 members of staff, about 350 maybe gross referring fees at that time, local practice. And because he was only about 5 minutes away from me in the car, I decided I didn't want the office. I refurbished my office upstairs, brought the plan was to bring his staff over, but his situation was different. He still wanted to stay on in the business, and he's still with me now, and so on reduced hours. So I knew that would fit nicely with the clientele that he had. He had 5 members of staff. One was I think his wife, his sister worked in the business. There's a junior bookkeeper who's still with me, and then a senior accountant and maybe another junior. And he got rid of one of the juniors, the senior accountant, not before me, but when I started negotiating, because the staff wasn't aware. When we negotiated the terms, she told him that week that she's leaving, handing a notice to go to KPMG. And so I was like, oh, brilliant, I just still want to buy this. The other bookkeeper, he's still with me. I found out, at the time that she's going to have a baby, and by the time the acquisition completes, she's going on maternity. I didn't want the wife, and the sister was not going to stay on anyway, and it was only the principal. So I had to rejig the whole team. And even before I purchased that practice, I was trying to build a team in the background. Because I was rushing, I made so many mistakes on recruitment then. I used recruitment agencies, and I probably hammered about 15k in fees quite easily trying to build that team. Members of staff lasted about 3 months. I got rid of all of them. And then the principal was working, he's supposed to be working on reduced hours. He's probably thinking, well, so this guy is making me doing 60 hours a week. I was doing loads of hours, recruited 1 member of staff with that practice. He had an outsourcer, still using that outsourcer. I took my time building that team, probably actually, listening to again on your podcast and the Spotify, whereas I actually decided to buy Sales Navigator on LinkedIn and approach people myself. And it's more time consuming, but I found people that I actually want to work with, rather than just me chasing my tail, just to get someone in to feel get a body in there. And even these recruitment consultants, or because they're not accountants, they don't understand the full requirement, what we need. And some CVs are brilliant. People might interview brilliantly as well. When they're actually in the role, it's very difficult, to find that person, because I had people coming to me who I'd recruited through that, who had more experience than me, 15 years of practice experience. At times I'd ran teams of 50. And I was giving them basic tax return work to review, and my juniors were telling them what mistakes they were making, and it was not a good time. And at that time, the principal who I put the practice off, is difficult for a relationship, because I was obviously he was doing a lot of work, and I was trying to build a team, and he was like, oh yeah, I need this person. I was like, yeah, give me time, I'm trying to do it. But now that took a lot longer to bed down, but now it's running really well. The outsource have got really good team in there. I'm actually over capacity now, but with good staff members. So we've got capacity for other clients, potentially, to take on another fee bank, which I'm speaking to one at the moment, and which could come to fruition in April next year. That's about circa 400k gross referring fees, non-tax assist practice. And so that will come with its own challenges, but both were very different challenges. But I really enjoyed that process of negotiating, speaking with people, putting in my systems, my processes, and building a team. I love building that team. That's probably what I'm more proud of with what I've achieved, that how many people rely on me, how many people I can support, and everyone has their own different personal problems. But when we're at work here, we always pull together, which I'm proud of.
Fantastic journey. What would you say are your biggest learnings of getting to where you've got to today? 7-figure firm, nearly 20 people, potentially being able to run your practice from Dubai.
Yeah, I was not the best technical accountant. I'm still not. I can't remember the last time I done a set of accounts. I still do personal tax returns when I want to see and be nosy with certain clients, but who I signed up at that time and see if they're doing okay. So I still got my small portfolio. I pick and choose. The biggest learning curve is not giving up and believing in myself. It's such a cliche and easy to say. I've read not just your book, many business development books and personal development books, and a lot of them come down to the same thing: believing in yourself, not giving up. And that's what I did. I'm living proof of that. There's nothing special about me. I just did it. I had support from the family, my wife, and my family to actually go and do it. Made a lot of mistakes on the way. Spent a lot on marketing, on recruitment, building the wrong team. Having a system. These are all learning curves. And even now, I'm learning. I've got different problems now. It's not the problems of like getting a tax return now. It's about acquiring businesses, and your problems never go away. They just change.
Yeah, absolutely. What does the future hold for you then? What's your big grand plan? What's something that you're working towards?
I focus on my clients at the moment that I've got. I'm offering them a good service and improving the systems and staying up to date with all the technical changes. I don't go out as much marketing anymore, actively marketing. So I think I'll probably start ramping up a little bit. Now I've got capacity within the business that I've got a good solid base to actually start ramping up marketing. But I'd want to do more acquisitions until I get bored, really, until I'm stretched or the staff say to me, look, we're overworked, which I don't want. I listen to my staff. I get them involved now in my acquisition. So the next acquisition I'm doing, I'm getting them involved and say, like, you guys go and meet. I want you to be part of these conversations. And then there's some buying as well. And down the line, my plan is to give my client relationship managers, I call them, some equity in the purchase that I do. If I'm in Dubai and they can run the business from there, they're benefiting from there. They're the risk that they haven't got to have an extra outlay to have their own business and practice. They've got some buy-in. They've already got a running business and cash flow coming in, which they can get a piece of. I think it can work well. That's my plan down the line, and to acquire practices that way. But to enable you to do that, you need to have trust and you need to have the right staff. And it's taken me 10 years to get there, but I feel I'm there now.
Yeah, amazing. So I guess for you, it's what your you've done the acquisitions, and because you tried and tested a couple and they've gone well, now that's giving you confidence that you've learned a lot in the process, and therefore you're doing another one. If someone's watching this thinking, yeah, do I continue to go organically or do I buy a practice? What are some of the key things they need to consider, watch out, weigh up in their own minds as to whether they can make whichever model work? Like, what do you think is essential if you're buying a practice? What are the key things you really need to get right?
The first thing you need to make sure is that your in-house is already up to scratch and it's running without you. If your own fee bank is not running by staff, and you can focus on the acquisition, because it's very time consuming, dealing with solicitors, the due diligence, dealing with the new practice, their staff. There's no chance that you're going to do that if your current practice is not running smoothly and you've got issues. So I would say take your time with that, because I was rushing things. It was running okay at the time, not perfectly, but definitely now I would probably took a bit longer, should we say, to clean up my own practice and systems and staff than looking at acquisition. You only can do that if your current practice is up to that standard.
And lastly, let's talk about people, because that's obviously a key thing, and you're most proud of the team that you have built up. What are the key ingredients in your view of what makes a good leader? What has enabled you to build that team, take that team on the journey with you to attract good talent, retain your high performers, and hopefully maximize their potential?
I've made a lot of mistakes and with recruitment, and one thing was trusting, giving someone too many chances, and it can be affecting the other members of the team. I had a staff member, he was with me for 6-7 years. I kept him on because I liked him, gave him many chances, knew that he made mistakes. When he was affecting other staff members, I had to, make that decision, went through the correct channels, through the HR processes, and, he's not with me no longer. But as soon as I found out those issues, I should have nipped it in the bud then. I let it affect the remainder of the team, and then there was I was hearing Chinese whispers about what's going on, staff are not happy, and it affected everyone at a time. So that was not a good time. So once I address it early, what I'm saying, I made a lot of mistakes. But what I would say helped me build a good team is that not only finding people I find people who are technically better than me, I'll be honest with you, because I don't want to be doing the work, and they're a lot of better accountants than me, trying to recruit them. But doing a set of accounts is only one thing of it. Is, will you get on with me? Will you fit into the team? I don't know how many people do their interviews these days. I don't have no script or nothing. I don't make my new recruits do any psychometric test. I have a chat with them. It's unscripted. How do you get along? What do you want in life? Where do you come from? What's your background? And from there, I can engage, quite quickly whether they're going to fit in and whether I get on with them. And then when I get on with me, I'm in my interviews, when I'm interviewing staff, I'm pretty open. I don't try and pretend to be something I'm not. I'll be open with them, and I open how I run the practice. I let them, walk around, meet the staff, whatever they want to do, which probably is a bit awkward for them, but that's how I do it. You've met Huzaifa. So Huzaifa was one of my recruits. One of my early employees. Stayed with me for about 7 years. Still one of my best friends now. And I spent a lot of time with him, and he's doing great. But it just shows that if you put trust in someone, they'll run your business for you. You give someone the rein to do that rather than just dictating to them. I don't do timesheets or anything. I know you don't. I don't mind the time. I let them come and go as they please, as long as the work's done. And it's paid dividends for me, and and you can see that from a relationship with him. And he's just one of the staff members, but all my team is built like that.
Thank you for sharing so openly, Kully, your story. You've done exceptionally well. So I know often there's times where as entrepreneurs we're just racing for the next thing. We don't often pause to see how far we've come. So consider this. Congrats for what you've achieved so far, and hopefully that continues, and you're able to move to Dubai and scale to the moon and beyond. Is there anything that you would have liked to share that I haven't asked you?
No, I think we've covered a lot of angles. But if you're thinking of doing accounts, and it's very rewarding business that we're in, but I still feel it's probably one of the most challenging as well. I see a lot of clients' businesses who make money doing that simple things, and I'm like, I wish my business was like that. But I'm running my business from Dubai. How many people can really do that? And you've got the stickability of the clients as well. How long they stay with you for. But we're restrained to what we can do. We're governed by our governing bodies, our professional bodies, and all the HMRC changes, the Companies House changes, the government can change something, then you got all the anti-money laundering. So it's not the easiest industries to be in, but it can be the most rewarding if you do it right.
Absolutely. No, I say that all the time. It's the best opportunity to be an accounting firm owner. We have an exceptional business model with the lifetime value of clients and the fact that it's a legal requirement for every business to do tax returns and accounts. So, if you get it right, then definitely the world's your oyster. Kully, thank you very much for sharing your story. It's been an inspiration, and hopefully we'll meet again soon.
Cheers. Thanks for having me on. All right. Good.